Good morning. Guess what day it is? It's April 25th. There are a couple things going on today. It's World Penguin Day and it's DNA Day. So I'm going to tell you some things about DNA. And these come from an article from the University of Toronto by a cancer researcher named Kinjal Desai. DNA is our genetic material and carries all the instructions from generation to generation. The DNA is stored in a specialized and enclosed part of our cells called the nucleus. Our red blood cells, and I did not know this, our red blood cells have no nuclei and no DNA. This is an adaptation which allows the red blood cells to carry more oxygen molecules to various parts of the body. Other types of blood cells do have DNA. In fact, DNA was discovered by Swiss researcher Friedrich Miescher in 1869. He was trying to study the composition of white blood cells, but instead he isolated a molecule containing DNA. If you were to collect the DNA contained in a single cell and stretch it out, it would cover over 2 meters. And 2 meters is approximately 78.74 inches or 6.5 feet. To fit into cells, DNA is condensed, packed, and folded many times over and finally fits into a space of approximately 6 millionths of a meter. All genes are made of DNA, but not all DNA is genes. In fact, less than 2% of our DNA is genes. The genes are scattered throughout our DNA with tons of non-gene DNA in between them. The 98% gene portion of our DNA used to be called junk DNA or dark DNA because of how little we understood. But scientists are now learning that it plays a very important role in controlling genes and how they act. Genes are the instructions for how to make proteins. Proteins are the workers of every cell and carry out all the functions and tasks of our cell. DNA is made up of letters represented as A, T, G, and C. These letters are short for the chemical compounds they constitute. There are 3 billion, that's with a B, billion DNA letters contained in every cell. Genes are like words in the alphabet of DNA. Genes always start with the same set of 3 letters, A, T, G. That is how scientists know it's a gene. And they are literally can be read by an instrument known as a DNA sequencer. We have approximately 25,000 genes, and these can be found in every cell. The human genome, which is our total DNA, was first sequenced completely in 2003. It took 13 years and cost $3 billion. Now, you can sequence your genome for $1,000 in less than 2 weeks. Every time a cell divides in 2, which can be as often as every 4 to 8 days in some organs, such as the intestinal lining, the entire DNA within each cell copies itself exactly, making less than 1 in a million copying mistakes. Despite all the genetic differences between human beings that account for the differences in how we look, behave, or are susceptible to diseases, humans are 99.9% identical in their genetic makeup. So we're only 0.1% different. DNA is amazing. I don't understand how anyone could think that could come about by accident. And those of us who believe in God do not believe it did. Psalm 139:14 says, I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. Jeremiah 1:5 says, Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nations. Speaking to Jeremiah, God was. In Ephesians 2:10 it says, For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. You are not an accident today. God knew all about you before you were ever born. Thank him today for your amazing DNA.